Hey guys, welcome to Condo to Cottage. So sorry if you hear some wind in the background. I'm going to try and clean that up with the audio, but it's actually a beautiful wind. It's a little bit of a windy day, but it's so nice out. So I just came outside for a quick minute because we had a storm roll through that last night. We've had a pretty warm week, and just like in other places, when you have really warm weather, you wind up with big storms. So we had some thunder and lightning and wind roll in last night and pouring rain. So anytime that happens, you want to try and do a preemptive visit to the garden to tie up any tomatoes or anything that needs to be trellised and kind of make sure that they're secure, especially tomatoes. Tomatoes are very resilient, but if you're doing vertical gardening or you're staking your tomatoes, you're going to want to just make sure that they're tied up nice and tight before a storm rolls through. I did not do a very good job of that because, as you've seen in the videos, if you've watched my garden tours, my tomatoes are very unruly this year. So I tried to tie up as much as I could, but I just missed a lot of big branches. So I'm going to show you guys what the damage after a storm looks like, and then just some techniques for tying them up. So the first thing I noticed, Exhibit A here, is this big tomato plant. So this guy, that stalk, is a pretty thick stalk. So I'm going to have to, it kind of, it didn't break, it just bent pretty badly. So there's no breakage there. So that's the first thing you want to do, is just check to see if it broke. But it's pretty top heavy. Like if I kind of pick this guy up, it's pretty top heavy. So I'm going to have to put in some of these garden stakes because these are the few I don't have growing on trellises. So I'm going to put a stake in, and then I use old t-shirts that I cut up. So you'll see those in my garden, and I'm just going to tie that stem to a stake. So definitely have some damage there. I had, this one was damaged as well, but I just staked that guy up. Everything else, zucchinis and squashes, they were fine. The eggplants were fine. It's really those tomatoes that seem to take it the worst. Let me look around here. Okay, now this tomato patch, this is the one that they are just rogue, random tomatoes. So they are just, it looks like somebody just came in here and stepped on them. They were all fallen over. Again, nothing broke. But the crazy thing is, so see, I can like pick this whole thing up. This is supposed to be like that. So I might wind up staking them up, even though I'm kind of just letting those ones do their own thing. I might have to, so that they don't squish all my kale. Another thing is, my sister-in-law actually posted a picture. She lost some of her zucchini blossoms. So sometimes you'll lose some blossoms during a big windstorm like that, but they'll grow back. The zucchini are very prolific, so they should be okay. And really, the biggest issues are those tomatoes. You might have some other things fall over or kind of dislodge themselves, but those are by far the worst. So what I'm going to wind up doing is taking this stake and putting it, kind of positioning it. I'm trying to do this. It's actually multiple branches down. Looks like it got stepped on. So I'm going to see where this originates from, and you don't need to tie it up completely to where it, like, to standing upright, but I'm going to kind of put this down as far as I can, and then I'm going to lean the branch just like this and tie it like that. So it's not all the way back upright, but it's going to give that plant a little bit more room. The only thing is I have a zucchini on the other side of this poor thing that is now struggling to get some sunlight, so I'm going to try and make that work there. The cool thing about tomato plants, if I can give you a little over here, if you just leave them and they fall over, their stems will actually get roots on them. So this one actually broke in the wind. So if you kind of just let that touch the ground, if the ground is still wet, it's probably not at this point, but it's not fully broken, the stem will grow these little nodules there along. I see those little white nodules, and those are actually roots. So if you if the plant winds up laying down Like if this stem were to lay all the way down on the ground, it would just grow more roots along that part of the stem. So, so I'm just gonna, I had to kind of trellis this, not trellis, but stake this guy up a little bit because he was covering my beans. So you can just use those stalks, and then I just use a little piece of a t-shirt that I cut up, and I'm just gonna tie one-handed knot here. Now you don't want to make it too tight because this stem's already pretty thick, but the tomato stem could grow some more. So you want to make it kind of just like a loose knot, but one that's gonna hold. There you go. All right, so that guy stakes, and I'm probably gonna put another one up here so that he can grow taller. I'm gonna pick this little sucker while I'm at it. And that's that. I'm gonna have to do the same thing over there. So you wind up with, if you're not trellising, like look how much neater this is. I just trellis them up. If you're not trellising and you're just staking, or you have, you know, maybe the tomato cage is probably gonna be easier, but otherwise you wind up with a whole field of stakes here because you're just trying to, unless you are really good at pruning them and getting all the suckers off, which I have not been. So. All right, guys, so that's the quick little thing about damage after a big rain or windstorm. So those are just some of the things you can expect, and, you know, just keep your eye out for those. Try and get out ahead of time to stake up so that you're batten down the hatches, you know, ahead of the storm. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you soon.